Good evening from Mooers Forks, New York. Bob Venn. The program's called What's Going On here, and what's going on is we're at St. Anne's Parish. It says right here, they celebrated their 125th anniversary 8 years ago, 1985, I think. And there's a lot of people around this table, and we'll have everybody introduce themselves. We could start with Father, but we'll start right over there in the corner. A man who said his name is Bob Hall. He told me, but now he didn't identify himself and tell you why he told me that.
The Chicago Blackhawks are gone. I'm Deacon Tyrone Rabideau.
Geneva A. Gadway.
Ruth Brassard Classic.
Father Howard McCasland.
Beth Lamberton.
Bob Suran.
Okay, we're here for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to talk about this big weekend coming up for St. Anne's. Father, and is the chairman of your bazaar here? Are you the chairman?
Everybody's chairman.
Everybody's chairman. Oh, all right.
Well, each one has a special word to it.
How many years is this that you've had the...
Oh, we inherited this from Monsignor Phillips, huh?
You know how
So
many
I've been
years you've
here. I've been here 9 years, and I don't know how many years before that.
He was here
No, but how many years did you have the bazaar?
all the time. Father Phillips was here, I believe.
So that was 8 years for him.
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
so.
So we've had it a long time.
Over 15 years.
Oh, yes.
Okay, 15 plus. All right, then it's going to be held on the weekend of
June 6th.
June the 6th, but it's only for one day.
Sunday, June 6th, starts at 11 o'clock. With the parade at 11 o'clock, and then after the parade we have roast beef dinner, as you saw.
Oh, yes.
And it continues until to 6:30, when there will be the raffling of all the tickets on the items on the ticket.
Okay, now, during the day you have a fiddler's contest. That'll be in the
We have a
afternoon.
fiddler's contest. Bev, you know
Yes,
that.
that's at 12:30.
Do you know how many people are...
Last year, I think they had at least 20, if not
Oh,
more
more,
contestants.
that many? Oh,
Yes.
yes.
They come
Okay,
from Canada, especially.
and then you have a 20 to 30 lip sync.
Lip sync.
Very good, as a matter of
I
fact.
believe this is our 5th year.
Okay. Anybody who watches Hometown Cable regularly knows Calvin covered it from beginning to end, and you'll see some great young people. And I'll tell you, you have to have a lot of nerve to get up there and do. Anybody here going to lip sync, by the way, in the contest? Are you going to be in it at all? No.
Probably in disguise.
Oh, in this guy. Okay, we'll watch for you.
Madonna.
Huh?
Madonna.
All right. I came last year. It's always seems like there's something happening, and I haven't been to too many. And I said, now, do I face my car in that direction, or where does the parade start, and where does it end? What's the parade route? Where does it start?
Starts on School Street.
Okay, now, anybody who don't know where School Street, that's up?
The next street parallel with this one.
Okay, and it goes in what direction?
It
It
goes
heads towards Mooers.
Yeah.
Comes down, hits Route 11, and then back up towards the stores, right past the church.
Okay, the old Frank Goodrich.
Back up the
right?
hill.
And then go up the hill and back over on School Street.
And then they organize in the parade ground. We call it parade ground. Next to the pavilion there.
Yes?
Sometimes we have bands in there performing. And
Right. Do you have a person that you call the what do you call it? One person you say going to lead the parade or anything like that? Do you have someone you're honoring with the parade?
Grand Marshal.
Yeah, Grand Marshal.
Yeah.
Who is that?
This year, it's supposed to be Aunt Bertha Bolris and Bernard Menard.
Two young people, I see. You're really into, huh? Bernard Menard. No, that's we're going to get into.
84 years old.
84 years old, and I know from reading this, and I know Mr. Menard, for 13 kids, right? 13 children,
3 priests.
3 priests and a sister.
And 2 sisters, I think.
2 sisters in the family. One, yes.
Betty.
And we've seen him on television. He was at the $1 Million Dam with you when that story was done on Channel 57 by his grandson, Paul Frederick. And then he talked, and his sister. He had a sister who talked
Yes.
in that parade, right?
That's Bertha Bullers.
Birthday.
That's my-
She's going to be in? Is she? Who's the lady you said?
Bertha Bolris.
It's his sister.
That's his sister.
And
A
her
family
mother.
affair.
Her mother.
Huh? It's your mother.
Yes.
It's awfully hard to get away from the family when you're in Mooers Forks, isn't it, Father?
All good.
When you first came here, did Father Phillips tell you, don't talk about anybody to anybody else because they're related?
Monsignor Phillips left about 6 months or a year. Father Driscoll was here
Father Driscoll was there.
for how long? About
Not very
9
long, not
months.
very long.
yeah, he
A
wasn't here
month
that
or
long.
two.
Yeah.
So that's your mom. Well, yes, she also did a very good job on that. She was in the, she talked very well about Mr. Miner, and in that video. You know what I'm talking about then?
Yes,
That
yes.
video,
Oh,
okay.
well, we have a copy of it.
You have a copy, of course, right? And you're going to have a copy of this probably
Oh,
too, right?
definitely.
Have you been on Hometown Cable before?
No.
Talking to us like this? Aren't you glad to be with us?
I'm just so happy.
Okay, well now, all right. Someone can tell me why these particular people are here then. Why are they? What? But they each have a significant. We know that one more person. Excuse me. There's a lady in the doorway. She's going to tell us who she is also.
I already told you.
You can tell people on TV right there. Mrs. Bushy. What is your first name, Mrs. Bushy?
Ernest Bushy.
All right. And for those of you in Champlain, this is Ken Bushy's mother. Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
And she's father's housekeeper. For how many years?
32 years.
He says with a smile.
Yes, with a smile, right? I'm healthy. I'm healthy because of her.
Yes.
It's a long time working under one boss.
When we came here, we said that we were here for the dinner, and she said, "What dinner?"
They said they would have steak, you know, you came to the wrong place.
All right. Why are these? Bev, we knew you were going to be here. Why are these particular people here? What are their positions? Whether?
Well, they all owed me a favor.
All right.
Well, besides that, Tyrone Rapideau is our deacon, and I felt he should be here. He has a lot of say in the parish.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Gadway, Geneva, she's helped this parish for many, many years. She's been past president of the Ladies of St. Anne's.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth Plosick is now our present Ladies of St. Anne's president. And Bobby Suprana has been, how many years, Bobby, have you helped with the parade?
I can't remember.
Several years. These people sitting around this table tonight have done
Right.
a lot for St. Anne's.
Okay, for
Parish.
St. Anne's Parish. And how old? We know it's 133 years now. This is 8 years ago, all right? And let's talk a little bit about the one that probably people recognize the most here, and that's Father Howard McCasland, who we know came from the Redford-Saranac area. You were born in that area?
Born June 27th, 1918.
You going to tell us the year? Okay, 1918.
I'll be 75, June 27th, I'll be 75. June 3rd, I was ordained a priest. I've been a priest for 49 years, going on to my 50th after June 3rd. And June 16th, I'll be appointed by the bishop to another parish.
Will you be pastor?
No.
You're more or less retiring, correct?
Once you retire, you cannot be pastor anymore. The best job then is that the best position you can have is administrator. So I'm going to be administrator of a small parish under 200 families. That's what he promised me.
Okay, is that different? What's the difference between an administrator and a pastor? You're still going to say mass and hear confession?
A pastor has canonical standing. The bishop can't move him without a good reason. Administrator, he can move anytime.
And he's not going to move you much longer. He's not going to be here either.
No,
You and here are going to be retiring together nearly.
he told us the other day, last week, that he didn't know where he was going. Well, he's going back to Buffalo, but when we'd have a new bishop, he was not sure of. He himself did. So he has been informed by Rome or by the apostolic delegate in Washington that...
Father, when we hear about priests retiring, they aren't coming in as fast as they're retiring, obviously. Now, you're going to be short one priest when you leave. So, who's in Cherubusco or another pastor?
There's no
now?
priest in Cherubusco.
Okay.
They're taken over by Ellingberg. Father Gilbert Menard has his own parish, and the parish, it's not a mission, the parish of Cherubusco. We have the same setup in Altona. Father Gilbert Boisvert is the pastor of Altona of St. Holy Angels, and also the pastor of Scioto, St. Louis Church. And pastor. But these small parishes need a priest naturally, but
Yes.
by the year 2000, they tell us there will be 125 priests in the Diocese of Bowling. That's all.
And how many now?
160.
Okay.
The medium age right now is 65.
Yeah. What do you find, what's the biggest difference in now and when you started? What's the biggest difference as a priest?
The role of the laity is becoming much, much, much more. And as the years go on, they'll be in charge of a lot of things that the priest now does.
You like that?
Yeah.
Some people, some priests don't necessarily
We have
like
so much work to do. We have so much work to do. We can't carry it on unless they do it. Yes.
I never was.
Especially in a big parish.
You know,
Well,
I never was completely in favor of, or Eucharistic ministers. I never was, because when I was brought up, we couldn't put our hands on. Nobody could. You know, if you dropped on the floor, nobody could touch it. Everything else. And so I'm not completely comfortable with that yet.
Well, it's respect for the priesthood of the lady.
Mm-hmm.
Peter says you are a royal race, a kingly priesthood, a holy nation, a people set apart by God, and therefore, by your baptism, you become associated with the priesthood of Christ in a lay way.
Okay, so that's June 16th.
June 16th, the appointments are effective. Wherever I'm going, I'll be there June 16th.
And coming to Mooers Forks is Father Sarank from
Father
St.
Sarank
Peter's,
from St.
Present.
Peter's Church in Plattsburgh.
Okay. Can you tell your people here anything about Father Sarank, what they can
Oh, he's
expect?
been up here twice. He's got part of his stuff up here.
Oh,
Already.
He hasn't been in church, hasn't met anybody yet. They
He
don't do that.
met Mrs. Geneva Gadway's
Oh,
husband.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't get quite.
You've met him, right? Yes.
Oh.
Tyrone and Maddie have known.
Okay, well now the housekeeper, does she stay with the house or does she go with wherever you go?
I'm remain healthy.
It's because of her, so she's going to make sure. And you're saying Father Sarank take care of himself.
That is exactly true.
You're watching Hometown Cable, we can say that because listen, we'll take a short break and give Calvin a chance to rest. We're at the St. Anne's Parish and we're at the rectory with 6 nice people of the parish and I didn't leave Father out because he's the pastor and a nice pastor.
Thank you very kindly.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about the bazaar itself, Bev. The parade gets over. It starts at, what time did you do? 11 o'clock. And it'll be done by, what, quarter to 12 or so?
Usually by quarter to 12.
And you start serving dinner at 12 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. And then what else can they expect during the day other than the meal?
Outside we have refreshments. We have hot sausages, French fries, Michigans. Sister Marcel will be here from Champlain. She's going to donate her time painting faces. I believe she does that in Champlain also.
She's at time to time been a clown too.
Yeah, she
hasn't
will be in our
Oh, yeah,
parade
yeah,
again this year as a
yeah,
clown,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And from what I understand, our parade is really going well. There's a lot of new.
Who's in charge of your parade?
Jeanette and Romy Paris from
Okay.
Mooers Forks.
Yeah. There's another sister in Champlain that's pretty well known to people here in Mooers Forks. They'll probably be here that day, walking around the grounds.
Sister St. Rita.
Sister St. Rita, yes, Brassard, as a matter of
She's
fact.
my aunt.
She's your, oh, of course. Are you related to anybody in this parish, Father? Everybody's related, yes. We did a story of a convention center and she was there. She was so great and she even gave me her sister's age and I said, you're in trouble for giving her.
She was too.
Yeah, and I just saw her picture in, as a matter of fact, well, we're talking of, I don't know if I can find it very quickly here, but
She's in there.
Sister Rita, and I don't know what age she was here, but here she is right here. And you have that, Calvin?
Let me get this. Yep.
Okay, and that was, I don't know how old she was about that. She's got to be about 20, come on. And this is the rest of her family, by the way, right here in this great St. Anne's Parish book that I have, and that's the rest of her family. I just couldn't miss that opportunity to talk about Sister Rita. she's well known and very well thought of. She just celebrated her 50th anniversary just recently. They celebrate over in Newport. I remember Father Susie went over, and we had someone else come in and say the Mass that day because he was over. Okay, now, Sister's going to be walking around the grounds, and then you got various games.
Various games. Probably how many games do we have? How many of?
We have about 8, and Robert?
I didn't get a chance to out here. We're going to have
Game
like
of
cotton
chance.
candy and all that.
Oh yeah, we got cotton candy, we just got
Cotton
it.
candy.
Got it, okay.
And one of the biggest things about this grounds, in addition to being in a nice location between the 2 big streets here, and all blacktop and a lot of places to park, there is a covered pavilion. And you can come here in the hottest day, and there's a place to sit down and a place to stay out of the weather. And a lot of that was the courtesy of a very good contractor here in town who, he told me he didn't do it for nothing, but he did give you a good break here, and that was Francis Menard and his group. And it's been up for 3 years, maybe 2-3 years.
No, it's been up for 2 years. Last year was the first year.
Last year was the first? Okay, and it's great. It really is a great spot.
Mr. What's his name, Mr. Gavin? Mr. Neal.
Oh no.
What's his name, first name?
You're talking about Francis?
Mr. O'Neill.
No,
O'Neill.
the one that donated the,
Not Harold, was it?
Harold.
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 O'Neill. Okay, so you'll be going on with that until, you said 6 o'clock or so, then you have
Before
your...
the drawing.
Okay, then the lip sync comes on after that?
No, the
No.
lip sync will come on at
Earlier.
3. Anyone that would like to participate, they still can call Norma B. Gore at 236-5578.
Okay, if the man answers, don't hang up, because he's lots of fun too. And we're gonna hear now about this roast hot. And I had it last year and it was hot. Well served, quickly, and very hot. And this lady right here is going to tell us about the hot roast beef dinner, the prices and so forth.
Okay. The dinner will be served from 12 to 5, and admission is for adults $5.50 a ticket. Children 6 to 12 years the price is $2.50, and under 6 there's no charge. We have a wonderful roast beef dinner, including mashed potatoes, corn, beans, coleslaw, rolls, and your choice of either pumpkin or apple pie for dessert. We have we have an excellent kitchen committee that it's unbelievable the amount of work they do. They start like about 5 o'clock in the morning and work right straight through till everything's cleaned up and put away. So we just hope that everyone that's watching will be here.
All right, now, this is served inside, right?
Yes.
Inside the building. And they can take it from there and go out and eat if they want to. And what about takeout dinners? Can you call and take it home?
There is, the main dining room is downstairs in the parish center, and around the back is a takeout area where we have some people out there filling up plates and they can take it out.
Do many people take it home or bring it somewhere else to eat?
Some do.
Some do.
Some do.
How many do you serve? Any idea how many people you serve?
Close to 600 one
You
year.
do?
We did, yeah.
Do you have any other dinners during the year at the parish? That you
No.
have like
Not
that?
to raise money,
No, not to raise, this is it, huh?
This
just
is
to acknowledge the
just
work
parish
of the
dinners
youth.
and things.
And it's a one-day affair here. We have 2 full days at St. Mary's, but you do very well in your day, very, very well here. What about the parish? It's pretty well debt-free, Father. Can you tell me that?
We have no debt. Mr. O'Neill's donation last year, we used some of that money to build a pavilion, and we loaned to the diocese $50,000. So we have $50,000 in reserve.
The diocese is operating because of these people in St. Anne's. We're never loaning to the parish, to the diocese. And of course, that money that goes to the diocese is then loaned to other parishes in the diocese, right? At a low
They give
rate.
us 6% interest on our money,
Mhm.
and that money, those offerings go to help all the people throughout the diocese. When I was in Lafargeville, I got 38 cents in my first collection. 38 cents in my first collection, and everything was falling apart. So the bishop loaned me. He didn't go. He gave me outright from the diocese $3,000 to get started.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me he matched your collection.
No, but that's what we do. If you can loan money to the diocese, you're in good shape.
Yes, I think Shazy's in that position too. Has been in the past.
Mooers down here.
Morris does too.
$280,000 they have loaned to the diocese.
Well,
They
then
know they need it
Yeah.
because they don't take in enough to support the parish. They just took in $8,000. They just took in as interest accruing from the money.
well, we're not quite in that position at St. Mary's in Champlain yet. Of course, we have the big school, and that is a very expensive proposition.
Yeah.
And of course, all the various parishes are sending their people there. And I think there's going to have to be some reckoning with that by the diocese before too long, but that's enough about that today. But on the other hand,
We give St. Mary's $4,000 a year.
yeah, that's toward the students who go there. Yes, that's the way I think should
Well,
happen.
It's arranged a little differently now with the diocese. Instead of supporting Seton, we give Seton about $1,000 a year from this parish, and we give St. Mary's at least $4,000.
So I'm reading from this, Bev, that this is not just to raise money, because you don't need the money. It's
Oh, no.
parish affair.
Yeah.
We need the money.
You need the money.
We wouldn't have our catechetical work unless we had
Okay,
the money.
but it's also a chance for your people to get together
That's-
in the air, right?
that's-
That's Altona. The reason for Old Home Days was to get together with the people you don't see very often and have a nice old-fashioned
Well,
day.
we gotta have the, we
You gotta have it.
We couldn't be able to operate.
Come get that dinner.
You gotta have it, otherwise our catechetical efforts would be just.
Okay. Anything else about the dinner? I should know.
Just that it's excellent, and you
Okay.
should be
Who's in
there.
charge of your? I'm going to be here. I expect to be here. Who is in charge of the dinner?
The kitchen committee, Priscilla Menard, that's Francis's wife, and there are about 3 or 4 other
Mhm.
ladies.
But the
that-
chairman is
Priscilla
Priscilla.
Menard.
Priscilla Menard.
okay. All right. And any other? I don't want to say vice chairman. It's not like they're chairman of vice or something. But is there any other chairman of any other group that we've talked about the parade? We've talked the games. Who's in charge of your games?
Joe Miller.
Joe Miller in charge of the games of chance.
Chance.
Joe Miller, a fellow employee with me at U.S. Customs.
Father Terry LaValle's brother-in-law.
And my nephew.
And her,
And you're, oh God, I knew it had to come, but he was on the parish council, he's still on the parish council.
And my cousin.
Joe Miller?
Joe Miller's off the parish council. He served his time.
I am not related to any of these people. Not really, but it really is, it really, you're talking.
Almost related to me.
Yes, we are, well, we go back a long way. You were in Champlain, what, 1950, 50, 51?
48 to 52.
48 to 52, back in St. Mary's. Yes, we put on dinners together there before, and we weren't just having them once a year then. And, yeah, 1950, 48, long time ago.
Robert is in charge of the loudspeaking system.
Okay, that's very important too.
Oh.
Well, since you started talking about that, one year we our PA system wasn't working just right. I guess it rained on it or something. I don't know. And the sheriff was coming down through, and I hauled him over and I said, "Can I use your PA system in your automobile?" And he says, "Sure." Boy, he's great. He backed it in on the side of the church. You remember that, Calvin? I sat there and I'm blasting away from the sheriff's department car, and it worked out nice.
It's nice to be able to hear.
Those guys are great.
Right, yes,
They're
they
here
are.
every year to help
Yes.
us out.
Yes.
And one time, I got to tell you a little story. My neighbor up the street almost fell off his chair. Was a little bit nervous, and the parade started. And of course, our old sheriff used to be Mr. Ducat. So, being nervous, and I had about 12 papers in front of me, and I'm getting everything organized, and the judges are right here, and I said, "Help me out here if I." So here the parade starts, and I says, "And here is Mr. Ducat." Well, Sheriff Trombley looked at me. And I said, "I mean, Sheriff Trombley." Harold Berto told me about it after. He says, "I thought I was going to die laughing." Just a slip of the tongue when you got about 10 things on your mind.
Have you had any tickets since that time? Speeding ticket or anything like that? From the sheriff?
No, it's
Talking
really a
about
fun
chairman, I
time.
think we should mention our dining room chairman, who have been faithful for many, many years.
Yes.
Marilyn, my daughter, Marilyn Provenza, and Mary Lou Gadway.
Marilyn Provence is your
Right,
daughter.
My daughter, yes.
Mary Lou.
Leo's
Mary Lou's my daughter.
daughter-in-law. Leo Provence.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We're back to the Juberts now. I've been a member of the Jubert family. I've known the Juberts for about 50 years when I first came to school here. Red Jubert's one of my best friends. And the Provences, yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of your daughter's daughters, your granddaughter, works at U.S. Customs.
Right.
Yeah.
Lori.
Yes. I met her up there recently, and she said, Provence. I said, "Do you know?" She says, "Yes, that's who I am." Absolutely.
Right.
All right, well, now you see the fun it is, and all these people are helping in the bazaar. Next year, if you're not in it this year, who would they talk to if they want to get on this kind of committee and work in your bazaar? You have enough workers?
We could find
We
a job for
always,
anything.
yes,
Okay.
we always could use more work.
Okay, well, just talk to one of these fine people you see here. They're your neighbors, and tell them next year you'd like to get in on this fun. It's always fun. You can even meet Sheriff Trombley, this man right here. All right, huh?
It's a great time.
All right.
It's a lot of work, but it's fun in a way. I mean, you meet a lot of good people.
Yeah. How long do you prepare?
Oh, you know,
Yes.
as long as we're at, I mean, we're giving credit to a lot of people. And there's one person, I don't want to pick out just one single person because everybody's great. But this guy I want to talk about is Jimmy Menard. That son of a gun.
Is electrician?
He's in 3 places at one time on that day.
He is. He's
Every time you
absolutely
call for
great.
Jimmy, he's nothing but a flash and he's there, you know?
All you gotta do is
He's an
ask.
electrician.
Yes,
Yeah, he
right,
is.
we know Jim, yes.
He takes care of all our problems.
Now, if you're not able to get under the pavilion for any reason, all you gotta do is move over to the south of there, and there's all kinds of trees, and you're still in the
Oh,
shade. I like shade,
Beautiful.
and I have a big problem when I would say Mary's, because I just can't take the sun. But here, it's just lovely. You can sit here all afternoon, one place or the other.
And with that pavilion, if there's any breeze at all, it doesn't matter how hot it is, it's very
Yeah.
comfortable under
All
there.
right.
Very nice.
All right, anything else anybody wants to talk about the bazaar? Anything else, Father?
We
We
have
forgot?
24 tables under the pavilion. Plenty of place to sit down, plenty of place to
Mhm.
eat your dinner if you want to
Yeah.
go outside and eat your dinner.
And if you don't want to have the hot roast, you could eat
Michigan
hamburger,
dinner.
chicken, anything else you want to eat.
We have loads of that stuff.
Okay, anything else,
I
Father?
think in the past, there's been complaints of the waiting line for the dinner because of the layout of the building itself,
Okay.
It's not the best, but so the line is there for a while. But this year, we're going to have a fan inside.
Okay.
Keep it cool. And I think the meal is just great enough to.
Well, that was a reason last year why you had to wait for your food a little while.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
remember,
Oh,
you had a
my God.
real bad situation last year. I just finished eating, but I took. Maybe you better tell them. I know what it is, but tell people what happened last year.
Well,
Our transformer burned.
Yes.
Our transformer supplying electricity to the center, to the parish hall, burned, and we were out of electricity at the parish hall for 2 hours.
Quite a while.
Yeah, but people came up from New York State Gas and Electric, came
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
on their
First time,
holiday.
first time they didn't bring the powerful enough transformer. Something was wrong with the transformer itself that it wouldn't work. So they had to go back to Plattsburgh and have another truck bring up a so we have a double now. We have a double the.
Okay, so you have made some provisions so this isn't likely to happen again.
No,
You separated it some way.
We draw an unbelievable amount of current that day.
Yes, I realized when it went. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have an old card. You have a card contest as part of your parade,
Antique cars.
and you're still going to have that this
Oh
year.
yes, we have. Right now we have. I think it's 20.
Okay.
Jeanette told me today.
20.
Old cars.
Come to the parade 11 a.m. and then stay around and have dinner and enjoy the competition for the fiddlers and then the lip sync. And in addition to that, walk around the grounds and you see any of these people, have them smile at you. Now, she's not there, she's smiling now, see? And they'll smile at you. And if this fellow here, Tyrone Avenue, also known as Bob Hall, and you just call him Bob Hall, see what he says. All right?
I think another thing we should mention is what we call our big ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that about?
There are a lot of prizes, top prize being $500, and then, I don't know, there's a
Very-
ticket this long.
It's a good sick, it's a very good.
A lot
Okay.
of money award. A lot of money
Okay.
prizes.
There's
Okay, now, I assume that this is not a lottery in any way, so we can just
No.
mention this
Not
here.
a lottery, it's not a
Not a
lottery.
lottery, no, that you have to pick out the right one, that's all you gotta be. Look at all the things on there you can get. My gosh, there's a line here, starting with 500, 250, 125, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 100s at 85 at 35, a $100 gift certificate, and then all the people, when you get these, make sure you notice who's donating this. I'm not gonna read all this now, but there's all these people who have donated here and deserve your attention and your thanks when you see them. You thank these people. Because it's hard, it's easy to go and ask for something, but it's nice to get thanks when you've given something. And all these people down here, there's a whole pile of them down here, and you get out chance for, what do you pay for a ticket like this?
$1.
$1, and you can win any one of those.
6 for 5.
It's right.
Okay? Okay, so that's here at St. Anne's, and we'll be right back.
Did you want to buy one?
I don't buy tickets. I never buy or sell tickets.
I just want to say, Robert, we are indebted in a very special way to Our Ladies of St. Anne Society. They do so much work, and they just take it in. What they earn, they give back to the parish in a great way, unexpected way. Every year, they give us something that we'd have to raise money for. So they give us back at least $1,000 a year.
At least.
Mhm.
They're a great bunch of girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least $1,000
Work
a
hard.
year. Now, they're going to have 3 booths,
3
Yes.
books this year.
3 booths, and they are raffling a blanket, a
Bedspreads.
bedspread, beautiful, all made by hand.
This
Mhm.
bedspread is donated by Gladys Bayshard from Rouse's Point. Her mother was Dora Manor, who used to make them for us. And in her mother's honor, Gladys now makes them
Okay.
for us.
It's Roland and Gladys, right?
No, it's Octave.
Octave, okay, all right. Okay. Now, you see, usually the deacon don't get a chance to say much because the priest always wants to say everything. Our deacon right at the end, Tyrone Abbott, is now going to address us and tell us what we haven't said. What have we failed to say about your bazaar that you'd like to tell us, Tyrone?
Well, you ain't gonna have any hockey. It'd be too warm. Well, I hope we do have good weather because a couple of years ago we got really rained on. The water was coming down the road not that high,
Yes.
and we do hope we have good weather. And Monsignor Howard McCasland, I call him Monsignor because he wears one of these little hats, and it's starting to turn a little red. So I said, I must as well call him Monsignor, and maybe someday he will be.
Significant.
To me, he is a Monsignor, and we will surely miss him when he leaves. And guess I'm running out of words.
Okay, well, let me ask you.
I might be related to the Bins.
Is that right?
Yeah. Shirley Bin and Mary
Yes,
Dennis Galloway.
yes, my cousin's related to me.
They're related to the
Yeah.
Manors and the Rabbiters.
Okay, let me ask
How
you.
about that, huh?
You're native, no, I didn't know that. You're a native of this area?
Yes.
Tell us what a deacon is and how do you become a deacon. Let's take a short break, give Calvin a rest, and we'll come back and we'll hear about a deacon, what a deacon does and what they do in the church. That's a little bit higher than the average person who's working for the church. He's somewhere between the lay people and the priest. We'll be right back and he's going to tell us all about it. Stay with us, please. Okay, we're back, and Tyrone's going to tell us about a deacon. What's a deacon first in our church, and how you become a deacon?
Well, there are two types of deacons. There's a permanent deacon and there's a transitional deacon. A transitional deacon is a person that's going to become a priest, and he'll probably be 10 months to a year before he becomes a priest, and during that period of time, he'll be like transitioned towards the priesthood. A permanent deacon is it can be a single person or a married person, and he's ordained permanently as a deacon. He can never become a priest unless the church has changed the rules or something. But right now, you're a permanent deacon forever. How long does it take to become a deacon? Well, it's changed. The program has changed right now. But when I went in, it took 3 years of going to Ogdensburg at Monterey Day College, 1 weekend a month for 10 months, and then one of the months you had a week retreat, and the 12th month you might have a get-together or a picnic or something like that, just like a community. And you do that for 3 years, and then the third year you ordain a deacon by the bishop of the diocese. What a deacon can do, he can baptize, perform marriages, funerals, also assist with the priests in marriages and wakes and funerals, and he can also work for do annulments with the help of the lawyer that's involved. And we have plenty of jobs. I can't think of all of them right now. But sometimes Father Howard might have some special duty he'll want me to do, like say if he has 10 or 15 people he's visiting that are sick, and all of a sudden 5 more get sick, and he says, "Gee, I can't handle the load." He called me up and say, "Well, I'd like you to go and visit certain people," and so then you go visit the sick, or go to the hospital, or to their homes, or wherever they are located.
Tyrone, 2 questions. Number 1, I've already forgot it. You maintain a full-time job other than being a deacon. Does the church pay you anything to be a deacon as a member of the church?
The only thing that the church does do, is that we're allowed to have a retreat each year, and they'll pay for your retreat, and they'll pay for your continuing education, and sometimes like the Wadhams Hall Institute at Wadhams, they have that every year for a week. They'll pay for that. Or if you have a convention that's nearby with all the deacons, sometimes they'll pay for that. It's a contract you make with your pastor, and you have an agreement with understanding how much the education is going to cost.
Okay, now, in our viewing area here of Shazy, Moores, Champlain, a little bit of Altona, there's Deacon Heinert in Rouse's Point, Deacon Patre in Champlain, Deacon Rabideau in Mooers Forks. Anybody in Moores?
No, but we have two people that are studying in a lay person, and they can go on.
Okay, but at
But
this
that's up
point,
to them.
okay, and there's Deacon Fisher, who's from Shazy, who is the chaplain at the Altona
Altona.
Correctional Center.
We have Gerald Defiant in West Shazy.
Okay, he would be part of our viewing area. Okay.
And in Plattsburgh, we got George Carroll at St. Peter's, and Bob Deal at OLBA, Bob King at St. Peter's. And,
Okay.
in All Sable, you got Joe Gilbert. And Brenda Malone. We got,
Okay, well, we're getting out of our viewing area,
so
and
you,
then people.
you got about 55 deacons in the diocese.
You do have that many. Big assistants who are a priest, Father?
Especially those who are retired. He gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes to work, and comes back at 5 o'clock at night. It's hard for a married deacon who is not retired to help during the daytime. About Sunday and Saturday, about the only days, and at night sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The ideal would be naturally a retired man who has worked and now is able to give his full time to the church.
Mhm.
But we don't have most of them. How many are retired?
Well, I would say probably 20 out of the 55, I say, would be retired.
Most of your deacons are young men, eh? Young, I give you
Yeah.
50 years old.
Well, we're about even. We do have quite a few elderly deacons now that we've ordained our first class in 1960. 1980, sorry. 1980, so what's that? That's 13 years. So some of these deacons are,
Yeah.
getting up in age.
You see, Robert, diakonos in Greek means service. They were called by God. St. Peter says, choose 7 men among you. We'll lay our hands upon them to ordain them for this ministry of service, of severing the table. So diakonos means service, and any way these men can be of service to the parish, that's what they are. They're called to do that. So especially to help the priest.
I would think there'd be a big help in a transition, like you got a new priest coming here.
Yeah.
What is better than to have somebody here to help him in that transition? And when he says, here comes Mrs. Gadway, and he says to you, who's that lady coming? Who's that lady? And you say, that's Mrs. Gadway. He says, hi, Mrs. Gadway, as if he's known you all his life, right? Well, and that's important. It's
Yeah,
kind of
but then
important.
see, you got a weapon there. You can say, well, that's Mrs. LaValle, even though she's Mrs. Gadway.
Yeah, or
Sounds
Mrs.
right-
Hall. Mrs.
sounds
Hall.
right
even,
up,
right?
yeah.
Okay, we've been talking about the bazaar at St. Anne's Church, and we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the Mooers Forks Church and how this book came about, and there's some people at the table here who worked on this, and probably the biggest thing that Mooers Forks is known for in the whole diocese. I don't know of another parish in the Diocese of Ogdensburg that has given more people to the religious.
For 280 families. It's tremendous.
And we'll talk about that when we come back. And I'll tell you why they have so many. Because this man said it in church one day, and I happened to be there when he gave that sermon, and he told them how they get these people to serve. But don't tell me now. You can tell me later. I'll be right back. Okay, one of the things that we wanted to talk a little bit about was St. Anne's Parish itself. And when you talk about St. Anne's Parish, of course, you can't just talk about the parish. It's the village, or the place, the hamlet of Mooers Forks. There's no village government, is there?
No.
There is not a village here as such. And Mooers Forks was not always Mooers Forks, was it? It got another name years ago.
Centerville.
Centerville, yes. And it was formed out of part of the town of Champlain. The town of Champlain back in the early 1800s went all the way over to past Ellenburg. And then this town of Moores was formed out of the town of Champlain. And somewhere along the line, Centerville, and now Mooers Forks. Who decided that I think there always should be one, but who decided you were going to do something about this? You involved in that, Deb?
Yes, I was.
Okay. How did this come about?
Father Phillips.
Okay.
He's the one that came up with the idea. And I believe at the time when he came up with the idea, I was president of the Ladies of St. Anne's. And being president of the Ladies of St. Anne's, you get talked into a lot of these jobs. So we decided we were going to do this parish book. Not knowing at the time how hard it was going to be, I said yes. And along with me was Olivet Dupree, which was Monsignor Gilbert's niece, Betty Ashline.
That's Frank? That's wife?
Frank's
Okay.
Ashline,
Yeah.
Sandy Sample, Alton Sample's wife, and Susan Menard was our committee.
Because it was hard, you'll notice they made it all women. They couldn't get a man to serve on the committee.
Do I have to say that?
No, I can say that. You don't say that. Okay. It was the ladies of St. Anne's, too.
Ladies of St. Anne's.
Yeah, okay. And so that when you did it, you didn't restrict yourself to the parish. You got the buildings in the village and the families. There probably are Protestant families in here, too.
Oh, yes.
Of course, so it's not just St. Anne's Parish, but it's a great book, and it's the only one that you know of ever been done on Mooers Forks.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Go ahead now. Tell us what happened. How do you start something like this? Put an ad in the paper and ask for pictures?
We published it in our bulletins, church bulletins. Pictures came in slow at first. Then once we got going, then we had a lot of pictures, a lot of the same, so we tried to divide them up among families. And like you say, up here, everybody's related, so it didn't take long to get quite a few pictures in. We worked many hours. We almost gave up a few times, but we just kept going.
You remember when you started it? It came out, I guess, about in 1985. Did you start
It was
it?
supposed to be out for Christmas. I remember that, and I believe we didn't have it, or did we have a few by Christmas?
You mean you did this in 1 year?
Yeah, it took us about a year to do it.
Didn't we contact Addie Shields of the,
Yes.
she came
Yes.
up and helped?
Historical.
Yes, Addie Shields, the county historian. She helped us to get
And
started.
I noticed looking through here last night, she had a reason to help you too when she gets to Mooers Forks. She has relatives in this area.
Yes.
Yeah, she has a full page in here, talks about Addie Shields, and she talks about her relatives that were here from Mooers Forks. I know Addie Shields pretty well, and I think that's just great.
And she was a big help.
Yeah, oh, she certainly is. And she's so interested in this type of thing, you know. I think she was 14 years the county historian. Okay. And then you told me that I think we're off camera when you told me, but you had 1,000 or more copies made.
Yeah, we started off, we were going to order 500. And then we decided, let's go for it. So we ordered 1,000. And if I remember correctly, after that we ordered another 500. And they're all sold out.
Oh, yeah,
We do
it's
not
out
have
of
any
print,
left.
right? You wish you had more, you could sell more, couldn't
We
you?
definitely could sell more.
And there's a possibility it could be reprinted. It was done by Northeast Printing on Bridge Street in Plattsburgh, Herb Carpenter. And the editor of they put out the it was Strictly Business, and they had another paper in Plattsburgh Live, but that's been stopped. And of course, our own Shan Moore from Cooperville was the editor of both of those. Now she's editor of Strictly Business. Yes, and talk to her. Maybe she can get you some more copies. I'm sure they would go.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Of course, all the time you weren't here at this time.
Well, I was at the end.
Finish it.
Yeah.
You were here when it ended, but during this time that this was being done, you knew something about these things yourself, because you were involved in one in Lime Mountain about the same time.
One in Altona and one in Lime Mountain. I had done two of those,
Mm-hmm.
two parishes.
A lot of work. I was told you're interested in that because you like your picture in these magazines. Is there anything true with that?
Certainly. And you're going to see my picture in the newspaper.
What paper?
The North Country Catholic and the Plattsburgh Press Republican. I've already taken
What does
care
that cost the parish?
of it. Not,
Oh,
that's for me. But I want everybody to have a good picture of me.
well, yes. All right. Yes, absolutely. Well, I have one right in my mind of you, Father, that I'll never forget. All right. So how did you sell them? What did they sell for? How much?
$6.
And there was no trouble selling them. I think you
No
had them
trouble
before.
at all.
Yep.
They were gone before we even got them.
Mm-hmm. You know, like I say, I've got this. Calvin had never seen it before today, right, Calvin? Yeah, had you ever seen one?
Yeah, I'd seen it within the last year or so.
Okay. You know, and other people would, like the library, I think the library does have one in
I think
Champlain.
we gave.
Yep,
to
the library
library.
should have them, and you know, everybody should have them. The schools should have one, and so forth. All right, what unusual, any of you people on the committee with her? Were you on the committee?
Not on the committee, I think I helped out in the beginning, but then.
Any funny little things come up when you're making a book like this that you can remember? There's always.
Oh, there had to be.
There has to
The
be.
funniest thing, Ben,
Yeah?
was that the first production that they made, the first time they printed the book, it came out all black.
Oh, the pages.
Oh, is that right?
And Mr. Carpenter was so disappointed.
The pictures were awfully dark.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
You know,
for some
black
reason the
and
pictures were awfully dark, and he said, Father, we can't do that. So then they went through
See, yeah.
another.
They should have did a good job.
Shadows
Yeah,
on.
yeah. They should have did a good job
A
now.
lot of these were old pictures.
Mhm. And by the way, this is called perfect binding, a thing like this. And this is the kind of equipment that they made at Sheridan in Champlain that would put this machine just together. This is a contrast to the rounder backer. They made those also, I guess, in Sheridan. Right, Calvin, you remember?
Ask Ruth, she's the expert.
Ruth, is that right? They made the rounder backer with the kind that had the regular books where they have the various groups of signatures.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? They made those also in Sheridan's book. Okay. I don't know if you can want to show any of these pictures in here, Calvin. We got time for some of these pictures?
Oh, yes, all of them. We're going to show them all.
Show them all. Okay. Well, you mentioned off camera also that you'd like to get some more of these made, maybe, right?
I think we would.
Would it? I mean, give you some problems? If I asked people out there, anybody who'd be interested in this, to let you or let note to the rectory that they'd be interested in purchasing a book like this, and so you would have some idea if
That'd
people
be nice.
would, if anybody out there think they'd be interested in a book like this, and it might be more than $6 today.
Oh,
Let's say it would be 10 to 12 or whatever. If you'd be interested and you think that the St. Anne's Parish should bring this up to date, maybe add on one page and show that the Father is here now or whatever has changed in the parish. You can show your building in the back, maybe have 1 or 2 pages or whatever, and have it reprinted. If you're interested at all and you think that you would be interested in buying one, why don't you drop a note to the parish, don't just bother, or Bev Lamberton, box 0000.
Call her after 11.
You call her after 11 p.m. But just drop a note to the parish, and maybe you really should look into it. I think that there's a mistake that you don't get enough of these. Of course, it's a big one. You have to pay for them whether you sold them or not, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to lose
I
money.
think that's why at first we decided like 500, but then we kind of got brave.
Mhm.
Said, no.
Okay.
If we had to sit on the store steps, we were going to sell them.
Well, I don't think you'd ever have. I called Frank Goodrich. I called Paul Vogan. I called someone else. And I finally got my mother's. After my mother passed away, she had it. I didn't know she had it. And I called all these people that were, was Paul Vogan in this one? There was another one with Paul Vogan. I said, was Paul Vogan on this? No, he wouldn't be at this fair. There's another one where Paul Vogan's involved in a book. Maybe it was on Mooers.
Oh, there is one.
His-
The one in Mooers? I beg your pardon. Okay. There was one, and I'd like to get all these local books. I wrote a note to you when you were in Line Mountain, trying to get in Line Mountain. There were none left. They
See,
were all gone.
the trouble is, Robert, when you start this gold section there, those are all donations.
Yes,
And that amounts to a tremendous amount of money.
that these people gave.
Yes.
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 And if you were to reprint that again, you would have to pay this amount that has already been donated in order to get it printed. So it would cost a tremendous amount of money.
You mean this would be as expensive to print?
No, these
Oh,
are
you mean to get the whole thing
donations.
printed? Oh, I
See,
see.
these people who gave,
You know what you're saying?
$100.
$6 don't pay for the printing.
No.
All right, that's what you're saying. Okay.
even when we got the second order, 500, they still had to print.
Okay,
But no, not.
I understand. Okay.
So we'd have to, well, I don't know what we'd do.
We'll look into it anyway. And all right, I'm going to take a break, and we're going to maybe find several of these pictures we can show you, and we'll get Bev. She knows them by memory, probably, or anybody else can tell us. And we'll see some that you think that. There's an interesting picture in here of the Goodrich store. 3 pictures shows it at 3 different stages, from a 1-story to a 2-story, and then the maybe the bridge that went. That was old Route 11 went across the bridge. It didn't go straight. Is that right? Years
Up by
ago.
where Dick,
Yeah.
Calvin
Pepper
lives
Hill,
now.
Yeah, that went that way.
They
Okay.
call it Pepper Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go away, coming right back, but please stay tuned for this next minute because you're going to see some very important messages. So Father was talking earlier about 169 clergy, Catholic clergy now in the diocese, and going to be dropped to 120 something by
By the year 2000.
2000. Well, Mooers Forks has done their share, not only for the priests, for brothers, for sisters, and deacons in the parish. And this family that's on the screen right now I don't have to show it to you. You got it there. The Bernard Menard family with 13 children. 2 are not here. Now, help me. There are 3 priests
3 priests
and 3
and, well,
2 sisters,
nun.
1 nun, 1 nun. Now, in this picture, I guess we could read the whole family, but I don't know if I have to read the whole. Oh, let's go from the left. As you see it, that's Rita and Arthur Menard, who was the MC at the dinner this winter for Henry and Viola White, and then Teresa, Cecile, Monsignor Gilbert, who was the pastor here, Bishop Navaw, and then Mr. and Mrs. Menard, Bernard and his wife, and then Father Gilbert Menard, who's now in Ellenburg, and then Sister Bernard Marie, O.P. Leonard, Gloria, Catherine, Regina, and Jane. Reverend Clarence Menard and Roland Menard were both studying for the priesthood at the diocese at that time, were not present. But there were 13 children, and they were Family of the Year in 1985, I guess. It was Family of the Year, 1962. And they made 2 pages in this book. And now we're going to show you some of the other people, then we'll have Father explain to us why this parish does so well with getting the clergy. Shall we? We're live again?
Yep.
Brother Michael Bulris. Someone tell me about...
I didn't know.
Well, he's half brother of my brother-in-law, Rudolph Boris, and Henry Boris.
Right.
He's half brother with these.
Okay. Henry Bulris was the only man at the senior housing in Champlain, New York, and every widow there was inviting Henry to eat regularly. And this was his brother, and I've met brother. He since died.
I believe he was a half brother.
Half brother, okay.
Right.
And my mother had a picture like this that was given to him by Henry. And, yes.
He's a brother of Christian Instruction, the same brothers at Mount Assumption Institute, which is
Okay.
seen now.
Okay. So he was from this parish. Our next page. Who doesn't know Reverend Francis White, a graduate of St. Mary's Academy, was here from Mooers Forks, from this parish. Monsignor, Monsignor, also the chaplain for the state of New York, I think for the Elks Club,
That's
right? Correct. And is now the pastor at St. Elizabeth's Church in Elizabethtown. And we see him down there from time to time. We stop in and see him. And he was a priest. And then here we see Sister Anita LaValle and Sister Mary Gilbert. Anybody can tell me about either of those? Both from the...
I'm not quite sure, but I think Sister Mary Gilbert is in Fall River, Mass, isn't she, right now?
Okay.
She's
She's a Snide girl.
she's
We'll
for a
Dorothy
large
Snide.
family.
Remember, 280 families in this small parish. And you'll see the number of people. And of course, we've already seen this picture, Sister Rita
Brassard.
and she's at St. Mary's now, just celebrated her 50th in the, I always have to read this, in the Sisters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart. And she's there in Champlain now, retired, living in our convent. And then we get into the Menard, the Reverend Gilbert Menard down
At Ellenburg,
New York.
St. Edmunds.
All right, and it used to be a problem. You say Father Gilbert, and we had a Father Gilbert. His last name was Gilbert too, right?
Father
Monsignor.
Monsignor.
Monsignor Gilbert. Monsignor
Arthur.
Monsignor Arthur Gilbert
Okay.
was pastor here for years and years, over 40 years.
All right, and then Clarence, that's his brother, one of 3 from that family who were priests.
He's an oblate
Oblate?
in
It's in Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Is it?
So the oblate's down there.
Father Roland Menard,
Is it?
Associate pastor
He's
up at our
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame Church in Malone.
I stopped to the parish yesterday to get to see someone there, and to my surprise, he came to the door. And I talked to him a few minutes, and then Father Dennis Dupre,
Dupre, D-U-P-R-E-Y.
where is he now? Anybody know where he is now?
He is chaplain at the prison at Augsburg. He has a parish. He's living. He's administrator of a parish in Hammond. Hammond, and he is the head of the personnel board for all the decisions being made June 2nd.
Okay, that's for the transfers, you mean? Okay. And Sister Elizabeth Menard,
Betty
Is that-
Bernard is head of the Sisters of the Sister. She's now superior of the Sisters of Mercy.
Is that Bernard's daughter, all right?
Yeah.
And Father Alan Schnaub, we read about him. Is he in West Daisy?
Ticonderoga.
Ticonderoga now. Here's his picture here. And then we have Tyrone Rabbit. We know where he is. He's sitting right at the end of the table. Right. Middle name, Bob Hall.
Good Father Terry.
I'm not going to forget that. Huh?
Good Father Terry.
And Father Terry LaValle, who is, I guess, is he in Ogdensburg?
He's in on the marriage court.
Yes. Right here. He assisted in Champlain a few years ago for the summer. Probably related to 5 out of 6 people at the table here. And now we covered everybody. You think we just about covered everybody. Now, the big question. I have two. Number one, how did they get so many religious from this parish? And remember what you said at the sermon that time in church. You don't.
I don't remember.
You told us that in order to get someone to be religious, you have to ask them.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. And Father Gilbert did.
Father
Most
Gilbert.
of those people were because of Father Gilbert. Right? Monsignor Gilbert. Okay? And they have an awful, and you have to ask. You know, they never thought until you asked them, and you have to ask. If you want people on a committee, you have to ask.
Sometimes he told you.
He told you, all right? All right. Okay. I have said Father a couple times. Someone says, Monsignor, Monsignor. What's the difference between a Father and Monsignor?
A Monsignor is the diocesan acknowledgement of a person who has given himself to, it may be by reason of position, like the Chancellor of the diocese, the Dean of the various deaneries. Right now, Father McAvoy has been made Monsignor. But mostly the deans of the deaneries are Monsignors. They're made Monsignors. So it could be by position, by reason of the position that they hold, or the work that they have done in the diocese towards education, or some other particular work in the diocese that is recognized as over and above what the priest is supposed to do.
Father Yvette, used to be in Champlain, used to tell me one time, he said, in order to be a Monsignor, he said, you have to build it a church.
Well,
He said, you build it a new church, he said, and you become a Monsignor. And that's what he used to tell me. That was one of the things you could do, build a church. And things have changed a lot in the priesthood now, Father. You come and go
things have
much
changed
easier.
considerably, very, very much. And in the next 10 years, the lay people are going to be in the life of the church so very, very, very much. It's amazing. The bishop, the priest that we just had last week, or this week at Wadham's, at Lake Placid Presbytery, where the priest assembled, with all the priests of the diocese assembled with the bishop. He was telling us that the church may be ordaining married men like Robert,
Mm-hmm.
and the deacons.
Mm-hmm. You know? Huh?
Yeah, sure.
It's if it comes down to that, we're fortunate. Last September we had 6 boys of the diocese who entered Wadham's Hall for this diocese. They're still here this June. So whether they'll come back next September is and we have already 3 more that have applied to Wadham's Hall to become priests of the diocese up to now.
You haven't retired yet, so I won't get into too controversial questions because you want to remain your last 20 days here. So I won't ask you anything controversial. I had a couple in mind, but I won't use them.
Oh.
Like should a priest marry and so forth. I won't ask you that though. You know, because I know you can only say certain things. This is one thing that may have to come before long. Who knows? As you say, if they ordain someone like
Tyrone
or Robert or someone, you've got to have. You may have to do
It's
that.
apostolic.
By the way, very unusual thing. I'm going Sunday to Notre Dame in Malone, and I'm going to video this coming 23rd. I call him Father John Silver. He'll be ordained tomorrow. His first mass is Sunday. He's 66 years of age. He was a banker all his life. Has 2 children. His wife died 5 years ago, and he decided to become a priest. And in the last 3 years, he's been studying. He's going to become a priest, and that is possible. Right?
Oh, sure.
Things like that can happen. And they're going to welcome him. He's going to stay right in his own parish. He's going to be there. He's only got 9 years, right? 75, he's got to retire.
75 you have to retire,
So
but you
he-
could become administrator,
But
or
you-
he could
yes.
work. He could work in the diocese, in the chancery office.
Okay, you can do that.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Well, you got to retire. You can't be pastor, but you can do work like I'm.
Well, I thought that when you retire, you just like you go lay down in a pasture or something. You don't do that.
That's wrong.
That's wrong. Cross that right off.
You don't work, you die.
All right, we've talked about the religious in the community. We got a few pictures of the old buildings that we'd like to just show you before we close off. And please stay tuned. And thank you very much for watching Hometown Cable. It's on every day at 1 o'clock, 4:30, 8 p.m., midnight, and 8 the following morning. And remember, it don't come free. It is not paid for by new channels. It's a Calvin Cast Iron enterprise, so to speak. And your donations of $12 or more, become a patron. And if you like this kind of program, that's what brings it to you. I don't get any salary. These people aren't getting any salary. Our deacon don't even get any salary. But we're enjoying ourselves. I met some nice people today. I think I've either met the people tonight or their relatives of 2/3 of the village or the area of Mooers Forks. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. One of the landmarks in Mooers Forks, other than the church, of course, is always the Four Corners. And on the Four Corners, just west of here, is the great, well-known Frank Goodrich's store. Frank Goodrich Sr., then Frank Goodrich Jr., and then I think there's one or two owners since. Has it been sold recently? Favreau, now it's a new...
Revenue and Jarvis.
Revenue and Jarvis now. And this is it in about 1920, a one-story building, as you can see. And then in 1925 or so, they had added a second story to the building, a nice, very prominent building. And then at the very bottom, it shows it in about 1985. I think the town clerk for the town of Mooers was there for about 40 years, wasn't he, Frank Sr.?
Oh, yeah.
All of that, huh? And then did his son also become town clerk after him? Juby, as we used to call him, I think, wasn't it? Huh? Was that his name that we called young Frank?
Junior, we always call him.
Oh, we used to call him Juby, as I remember in school, but I could be wrong. And Ella,
Goodrich.
Goodrich.
Goodrich,
She used
yeah.
to be,
Howard Goodrich.
Ella, I'm trying to think of her maiden name. Howard,
Yeah.
yes. All right. There's the three. That's the main corner. And right across the street from there, but facing in the easterly direction rather than a southerly direction, is what is now known as the parish garage. At that time, it was a different garage. I think Mr. Ledoux operated that.
Yes.
Gloria Ledoux's father.
Email.
And Mrs. Ledoux was postmaster for many years here.
yeah.
And it was operated right there on that corner. And I think Route 11, or that main road, used to turn left at that. There wasn't the four corners, there were the three corners. Is that correct, at that point? And you turned left, and you headed toward Woods Falls, and took the first road on the other side of the bridge, and you went to Ellenburg that way.
Right.
And on the other side was this building. It's on the left as you turn toward the bridge. And the book here says it was owned by Tyrone and Mr. and Mrs. Tyrone Rabideau. And that's been torn down now, right, Tyrone?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. I don't want to embarrass you. Why would you tear that building down?
Well, it was in bad shape.
Is there something else there now?
Yeah, it's all, I got a two-car garage.
Oh, you do have. You live on that corner?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. So you actually live just as part of your property?
Over to the left.
Oh, all right. Yeah, because I just hate to see nice old landmarks like that going.
Yeah.
But as long as you say it's all right. It's going to tear it down by itself. Someone was at Mrs. Alice Miner's museum the other day, and my sister is still very upset on tearing down the old Shazy School where she graduated. You know, what a crime that was. The first centralized school in the state of New York. And I just like to see things continue. So this is part of Main Street. This is Mooers Forks looking north up toward the recreation field. This is Goodrich store right in the corner. And if you go up and take the first right, you go to your hall, correct? And the Methodist church is on that?
No, that's on the main
Number 11.
street.
That's on the main? Okay. And this is going east. In other words, heading toward Mooers. And many of these buildings, I think, are gone. You said your home is up here?
That's Sam Roberts. Well, he's deceased.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a barn he used to keep an old antique car in. And Mrs. Bosley. And my house is centered right in there someplace.
Mm-hmm.
This building isn't here today.
We forgot about the Bosleys. Bosleys, quite a few people in the area.
Oh,
That
yeah.
come from that Bosley family, too, correct?
Big family.
Yes. Also very active in your church?
Those that are here, yes, yes.
Okay. And railroad station?
I think that's the balloon factory now.
Okay. Balloon factory?
Well,
Granger
All
Balloon.
Okay.
hot air.
That's how I was going to say that. I didn't know how to say it. All right. This is up beyond as you look north on that same street and then around the back, and that's the Menard Sheet Metal Factory. It's been that for a number of years. Well, didn't Guy Howard operate that for a while?
Howard had it.
Had it
Okay.
for a long time.
And this Boomhauer Grocery, we're not sure just where that was. We didn't read the story. I haven't prepared anything at all. I'm just going from memory here. And this picture here is located on Route 11 by the lumberyard, the Dupree, is it Dupree?
Sample duplex.
Sample Dupree.
Yep.
And this is in the back next to where the campgrounds are. And when we talked with Steve Drown, I think.
Oh, Steve Jones?
Steve Drown, and we were out there, and we were on the other side of this falls looking at this area, beautiful, peaceful area back there, and a landmark for the area. And let's see what else we have here. We got to give me a break here. This was the Mooers Forks School in 1928, and is now the place where they serve the dinners on the 6th of June.
First Sunday of June, which is
Hot
the 6th.
roast beef.
Right.
And it's located directly behind the rectory here. All right, I think that's about all the pictures I've earmarked. Certainly I've enjoyed looking at this book again last night when I had company, when I got downstairs around midnight, went through this a little bit to see what I could find for pictures and so forth. And anything else anybody wants to talk about your...
The parish center was a high school, then became a grade school, and then the state made it a school for retarded, and then it left it up for sale. And that's how we bought it.
Oh, you bought it, okay.
We bought the center. We bought the school. Is that right?
I think this when Father Rapin was here.
Father Rapin is the one who bought the school. He and the Knights of Columbus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, no, the other day we were looking for a mass other than 7 o'clock the other day. What time of your mass is that? St. Anne's.
We have to schedule our masses, Robert, and 1 hour and a half from each other.
Yes, but...
So up here, we have mass on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, Mooers at 5:30. Sunday morning, 7:30 up here, 9 down at Mooers, 10:30 up here.
Okay. Because sometime when you're traveling and get ready to go someplace and there's not a mass that is convenient, we were out to dinner on Wednesday night and we had to go to the next day we were leaving, and we tried to find a mass late in the afternoon, couldn't find one. So we ended up leaving where we were having dinner and went into church and came back and had lunch or dessert afterwards.
That's
But
good.
we were looking to have either a later or an earlier, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have to go down to Mooers. The pastor of Mooers Forks has to go down to Mooers to show them that he's pastor once a month.
Yourself, that is.
Yeah. The priest down at Mooers takes my place up here, and I take his place down.
Is he administrator? Is he an
No,
administrator?
he's priest in residence.
That's a new one on us.
Priest in residence just takes care of the daily masses and the Sunday masses.
Okay.
That's priest in residence. He's not administrator. So
Okay.
everything has to come to the pastor at Mooers Forks.
Okay. All the important things in St. Anne aren't going to happen on June the 6th, although we want you to come to that. There's also a very important week, the week following, the Sunday after. Can you tell us about that, Mrs. McCasland?
Well, we decided to honor our pastor. He's been an excellent pastor here, and we felt we wanted to give him a nice send-off, and we're going to do that. We're going to celebrate his 75th birthday, his retirement, well, I guess it's semi-retirement, and his 50th year. He's going into his 50th year, June, I think it's June 3rd, Father,
June 3rd.
for as an ordination priesthood, I should say.
For the priest.
Yeah, and we welcome anybody to come. We're going to have open house from 12 till 3, and we would like to fill the hall, and we've got the pavilion. We're going to open up and get ready, so we're going to just float right outside if we're...
The hall is where you're going to have the lunch. You mean that's
Yes,
the hall?
right at the
All right.
center.
Can someone come to church and then stay right to the party? What time is mass? 10:30 you said here?
10:30.
Is that too much time between 10:30 and noon? If you'd have to go home?
No, I think we'll be pretty much prepared by then.
Okay, so that if a person came to church, he could stay right here? Or is there going to be time? Can you preach for an hour to keep right here till noon?
Oh, sure you can.
We'll scare them off.
We're going to keep them busy.
Okay, so what are you planning for that day? It's going to be it'll be a little luncheon or
I think
cookies
we'll
or
have a
finger
nice
food?
lunch, it'll be finger foods, and, well, we have a few surprises for Father.
Okay, okay. You know, the thing always comes up, if I go there, am I to bring something? Do they bring a card? Do they bring a gift? Should they
Yeah.
not bring a gift?
We're planning on people bringing cards.
Okay, a card. So you're not expecting to bring a gift so that someone comes, they're going to feel
No,
slighted?
no,
Is that all right?
Whatever they want to put inside that envelope.
You
will
can
be
put it in the
their
envelope.
gift.
All right, put it in the envelope. Okay.
That's what we're hoping.
That's a good idea.
All right, so you'll know. And,
Everybody's welcome.
okay, anything else you want to talk about that? Who's in charge of that day?
Well, we have
Catholic daughter?
No.
Lady St. Anne?
Beverly, myself.
Beverly, you're in everything. That's
I try
easier
to
than the
delegate
book,
the
though. Huh?
job.
Easier than the book. You know what it is? I'll tell you. If you don't do a good job, they never ask you again. And you have to remember that. If you do too good of a job, you're always asked. And you do a good job, obviously.
Must be.
All right.
Does an excellent job.
Okay. So that. Anything else you want to talk about that day? Anything else you could add? Or
Can you,
We'll be back.
we'll be right back. I think we got a battery problem.
so Father working today.
Priest in residence at Mooers. Father
Priest in residence.
W. Cyril Rapat. He was here at Mooers Forks at one
Oh,
time?
yes, he was
Yes,
pastor here.
He was pastor here. And he's the
Priest in
priest in residence at Mooers now, and he's there during the weekend, as you say. Father goes over and checks them out once a month.
Once a month.
That's your obligation. Okay. That's what Father Sarank will be doing.
He'll be pastor up here.
Pastor here, but he'll be going checking Mooers
Same way as
also.
I do it, yeah, that's right.
Okay. There's no other, you don't go to anywhere other. Altona covers Scioto, is that correct?
All right.
All right. Well, we have the book open. Anything else about the book that all we should cover, Bob, that you can think of? Tyrone? Anybody? No? All right. We're going to just hear a little bit. As we close out, we'll go back to the person that has been here for 7 years?
9 years.
9 years. Yeah, I
9
said
years.
7. He was very quick to say 9 years. He said it's been a long, long time in Mooers Forks, right?
9 years, May 1st.
All right. Tell us a little bit more. We knew you were from Redford. Your parents were who?
I really come from Shazy Lake.
Okay.
My mother went up to her mother at Shazy Lake to give me birth. And something very strange happened at that time. My Aunt Olive was supposed to have come down and helped my mother. And my father had gone to work on Miner's Dam at Shazy Lake, so he left early. And I was due at 8 o'clock in the morning. So my mother sent my brother, Pat, up to get my Aunt Olive. But for some reason, they didn't come back. I don't know what he did, but for some reason, they didn't get back until 10 o'clock. And my mother had me at 8 o'clock, all by her own sweet self.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds... What was your father's name?
My father's name was Henry.
Okay,
Everybody called him Benny, though. His middle name was Benjamin.
Okay, he worked on the dam?
He worked on the dam. My father was a carpenter.
Okay.
So after we had a farm, and after we got my mother had taken care of her mother in death, her father in death, and her brother in death, then after a while we sold the farm and moved back to Redford, where all the McCaslands are from. And in the meantime, my father had taken down the Shazy Lake Hotel at the head of the lake, owned by a Badger family, which had closed. So he moved all the lumber from the Badger Hotel down to Redford by an old road that we call it the Priest Road. And in the meantime, my father had the house all built in Redford, and I went to school, to a Catholic school after I left Shazy Lake. And when I was about 16, I was going to raise chickens, like the Drew brothers in West Shazy. I had started already to have a flock of chickens and take care of them and all that, and I was going to sell eggs and sell chickens like they do. But in February of my year of graduation, all of a sudden one afternoon, while I was doing my homework, I got that awful, awful strong desire to be a priest, to give up my girl and become a priest. So I got scared, and I ran home. We got out of school at 4 o'clock. I ran home and I said, "Mom, I got to become a priest, otherwise I'll never be happy." She said, "What you talking about?" I said, "I got to become a priest." And that was the beginning. And since that time, I have never, never, never had a doubt in my mind that this is where God wanted me. Not all people are given a strong vocation like that. It is amazing. When I was ordained in 1944, we had 43 men to be ordained.
That 1 year?
That year, all from all different dioceses in New York State. So we arrived at Easter time when we go home for Easter, and the rector of the seminary, at St. Bernard Seminary in Rochester, told those 3 men who were in doubt, don't come back if you can't have a bishop sponsor you, because I can't take any farther than where you are. You've already gone 7.5 years to seminary. They never came back.
Just as well, maybe?
Just the 39 of us, the 40 of us were ordained to the priesthood.
Father, you should mention that Redford, when you drive through Redford, that's not really Redford. That's just one of the roads. The main street is one street parallel up on the hill, right?
The hill.
That's where
The
you live.
whole town is on the hill.
Okay. How many in your family? You mentioned
There are
Pat.
6 of us, 4 boys and 2 girls. The girls died. One died young. My sister Ruth died when she was 19. My mother's hair turned from black to white in 3 weeks. And they give her more time to concentrate her attention on the boys. But to my brother Victor is retired butcher from the Clinton County Prison in Dannemora. My brother Pat worked at the Georgia Electric, not Georgia Electric, but General Electric in Schenectady. And my brother Rick is down in Cortland, New York, and he works on these big 18-wheelers for their refrigeration.
Okay, Father, you were ordained in what year?
June 3rd, 1944.
Okay, 44. And when you were ordained, you immediately go as an assistant. You don't call assistants today.
No, call it associates.
Yeah, but then you could call them assistant then,
Yeah,
because that's what you were. You were
My
a helper.
first
Yes.
appointment was at Rosas Point. I stayed there a year and helped out at Mineville, Chateauguay, Malone during that course of 1 year. And then the bishop sent me down to Black River, where I helped there for some years. Then I came back to Champlain, New York, St. Mary's in Champlain. Then they told me get ready to become a pastor, so the following June I was sent to Lafargeville as pastor. 76 families, and as I told you before, the first collection, the church was in terrible shape. So the bishop loaned me gave me $3,000 to fix the inside of the church up. And I spent about 8 years over there. And then I was sent from Black River to Altona. Spent 10 years there. The rule was 5 and 5. The bishop appointed you for 5, and he could reaffirm it for 5. So, and from 62 to 72, it was changed from 5 to 5 to 6 to 6. So when I left in 72, from Altona, I went to Line Mountain, and there it was 6 to 6. So I stayed 12 years up there. And in 84, I had to leave, and he sent me down here to St. Anne's, and for the last 9 years I've been down here.
Father, when you first went in and you were in a small parish like Lafargeville, a lonely life?
Oh no, I had a housekeeper in that my
You
life.
always have a housekeeper?
Never. I've always had a housekeeper.
somebody. Are you telling me you can't cook?
We lived 3 years at Lafargeville. I was an assistant in Lafargeville.
Uh-huh.
I lived 3 years without a housekeeper with the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
We went out for our main meal every day. And I detested that.
Have you ever had an assistant?
No.
Never, huh? I mean, that's how it's changed. You're lucky to have one now. You've never had an assistant.
Never. You'll never have one now.
Never have one now. All right, now that cover your
I
pretty
cover
well?
mine.
Pretty well?
And this on the 16th, the bishop is going to give me a small parish under 200 families, and he told me before we left Lake Placid here this week that he was sending me in all probability to Churubusco, where I will be administrator, having the same power as a pastor, only I can be changed at any time by the bishop.
The 43 people who, they didn't all come to this diocese, right? The 43,
Oh, no,
the
no,
39 you graduated
Oh
with?
no, they were from Rochester,
Okay.
Syracuse, Albany, downstate, Massachusetts.
You said you've always been ashore, and you told your mother that day for those last 50 years.
I've never had a doubt in my mind.
Nice to be able to know that. Anything else? Listen, come yourself to talk to Father. We invite a lot of people. Okay, we invite them all. Come see Father. And you've touched a lot of lives in all those churches.
I stay as long as I can in the parish.
And you've touched a lot of lives. Marriages, baptisms, confirmations, schools. Big school was the biggest school you were at?
Champlain.
Champlain, right? And if you go to Champlain, you've got to like Catholic schools because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of problems.
I'm the only one that started the band down there.
Okay, we had a pretty good band.
Oh, we had a marvelous band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice uniforms, the whole deal. I just looked at some
All right.
pictures the other day. 1955 parade and around this point, some old pictures I just was given to me. And I've been handing them out to some people who were in the pictures, giving them out.
We started a band down
Yeah,
there.
very good.
Raised the money.
I think Father deserves a lot of credit for a lot of things, but I think his main concerns are the sick. He's always so concerned for the sick, and now with his involvement in the ecumenical
Mm-hmm.
movement or
Yeah,
whatever. I think
ecumenical
he's-
movement, yeah.
Pretty well known in the hospital too, isn't it? Yeah, he's in there a lot. Used to
Once
be.
a week, once a week. I say
You
mass.
do?
I say mass every week, every Thursday afternoon at 2:00 in the Bible Zone.
Your health good too?
You wouldn't believe it. I went to.
Try me.
They wouldn't. The insurance company wouldn't insure my car unless I had a physical. So I had to go and get a physical in order to get my car covered by insurance. So I went down to Dr. Southwick at the center in Pleasant in Champlain there, and he examined me all over, even a place that I didn't want it. But,
Well, we'll make your own answer to that out there, folks.
and he looked at me after and he says, "Father, you're like a kid 16 years old." So
And I thought you were going to say if I felt any better, I couldn't,
couldn't
stand
stand
it.
All right. I don't know how many of you people out there have had close friends who are priests, but you should be closer to your priests, your ministers, and so forth. They're nice people. They're human beings, too, you know. They're human beings. You had 5 brothers and sisters. You had a mother and a father and everything else. And they, you know, priests and ministers do get lonely at times, and they stop in and talk to them, right, Tyrone? Is that anybody? Anything to add to that at all, Bev, Bob?
Well, I just want to say I'm happy that Father he's always willing to have a mass. Anybody that says that they can't get to church, that's not a good excuse, because he'll say a mass. He'll find time.
I would also like to mention that he's done a tremendous job in this parish with improvements. Things that I never thought would get done in this parish at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it on the collection. He stretched
right.
that money.
No fuel collection.
No, he stretched that money.
one offering a Sunday.
Yeah.
Holy days don't count.
Mm-hmm.
One offering on Sunday, and we do everything that another
Mhm.
person.
And we have nice flowers in church most of the time. We have everything as nice as we can have it. He
Yeah.
never says anything.
That's because they're good people. They support their church.
You know, this is the first time we've done a story like this. We didn't come here to make you religious or anything else. We came to talk to some nice people and say hello and goodbye to a real, good, dedicated priest, 50 years. And he's not going that far at Churubusco.
No, thank
And
God
if
for
you get
that.
to Churubusco, it won't be very hard to find a church. You can't get lost in Churubusco, can you? That's where you're still going. We don't know.
I hope.
We think you're going to Churubusco. And you know, some relatives from the Ghoulies in Champlain, you know, are up in. They're from.
Churubusco?
Yeah, they're from Churubusco, the woods and so forth. Up. All right. Anybody else? And before we close.
Remember June 6th and June 13th?
Okay.
Right.
And if you want to go see Father McCasland up in Churubusco, you just need enough gas to get up, because you can coast on the way back.
That's right. That's right. They're up high. Don't come during the winter time.
Tough up there during the winter.
Oh, they say it's terrible.
Stay in. You get your food in and stay right in there.
The snow keeps you right in.
Well, we lost Mrs. Bushy. She was here earlier, and she's probably in the other room listening, but she don't want to get on TV anymore with us.
She's probably gone to bed.
Oh, okay, that's true. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And if you were wondering what you did when you got here, I hope you now know better. But anyway, this will be on TV on the 30th. But don't spend all your time on the 30th watching this more than once. Come down to St. Mary's. If you're watching this right now, you should be at St. Mary's Bazaar.
30th, yes.
On the 30th. All right. We'll be busy for 2 days down there. Thanks very much for watching Hometown Cable. It's on every day at 1 o'clock, 4:30, 8 p.m., midnight, and 8 the following morning. And this show called What's Going On Here with Bob, Van, and Calvin is on every Sunday at those same hours. We appreciate your comments. We'd like to see your $12 or more as patrons to keep this kind of program on. And thanks for your consideration. Good night. Screen is a general overall picture of Perry's Mills, centering right here in the lower part. The